A few years ago, I was sitting in a job interview, knowing I probably wasn't the obvious choice. The role had been open for about 2 months, and they had interviewed a lot of people. And if I'm being honest, my resume didn't exactly match what they were looking for. The only reason I was in that room was because someone who worked at the company vouched for my character, which is a great compliment, but not exactly a substitute for knowing how to do the job. And I didn't, at least not yet. So, near the end of the interview, I got a chance to ask a question. And instead of asking about salary or growth or benefits, I asked something a little different. I said, what is the one thing you really need from this person in this role? Not technically, but personally. The man who would become my boss paused, and then he said something I never forgot. He said, the goal is this. At some point, someone will ask me, is this deliverable ready to go? And I'll ask, who reviewed it? And they'll say, Michelle did. And then he said, my goal is that when they say your name, I don't have to check it. Think about that. Not perfection, not brilliance, not even speed. Trust. He wanted to get to the point where if I said something was good to go, it was in fact good to go. No second guessing, no double checking, no hovering, just trust. And he also added something important. He said, if you're unsure, I want you to tell me what needs to be reviewed, and I'll trust that everything else is solid. That moment redefined how I saw work, because suddenly the job wasn't just about learning skills. It was about becoming someone whose word meant something. And I'll never forget the first time that shift happened. It was a Monday night, and we were about to send something out the door, something he normally would have reviewed every single time. He was heading out to dinner with his kids, and he stopped by my desk. So I asked, hey, do you want to take a look at this? He paused, he looked at me, and he said, have you reviewed it? Yes, sir. Any questions? No, sir. Then he nodded, and he said, sounds like it's good to go. And that was it. A simple moment, but everything changed. Because from that point on, he never checked that piece of our deliverable ever again. Not once. That wasn't luck, that was built. That was built through consistency, through ownership, through accountability. And here's what I learned. Trust like that doesn't happen by accident. It's built in two directions. I had to become someone who took pride in my work. Someone who didn't say it's good unless I knew it was actually good. And he had to be willing to let go, to stop checking, to stop hovering, to trust what I said. It went both ways. And along the way, we built something else that mattered just as much. It's what I like to call micro accountability. I told him really early on, I said, please don't wait until it's 6 months later to tell me I'm doing something wrong. And he said, don't worry, I won't. We talked about things all the time. Small corrections, daily feedback. No drama, no buildup, just honesty. And that did something powerful. It made accountability normal. Not negative, not personal, just part of us both getting better. Because here's the truth. We live in a time where people don't love accountability. We avoid it, we soften it, we pretend everything is subjective. But it's not. There is a right and there is a wrong. And holding yourself and others to a standard, it's not harsh. It's respect. It's saying what you do matters. What you say matters. You can be trusted. And when that kind of trust exists, work gets easier, relationships get stronger, and people grow faster. So here's the question I'll leave you with today. Are you someone who's good to go, is actually good to go? Because if you can become that person, someone who owns their work, speaks with clarity, and builds trust over time, you don't just do your job better, you make everyone around you better as well. And that, well, that's the kind of person people stop back checking.